Hi, my name is Derrick Campbell. I'm the creator and founder of DC Golf LLC, and today we're going to talk about the Smart Golf Academy. So the Smart Golf Academy is going to help you find your natural golf swing and create an easier and manageable foundation for your swing to enjoy the game. Through this course, we're going to talk about the key aspects to help you build the foundations of your natural golf swing. That will include stance, grip, putting, chipping, and full swing. Some of you may be wondering what the Smart Golf Academy is. Smart Golf stands for Sports Movement Related Teaching. And through this, we're going to teach you how to take various sports that you might know and put them into your golf game. Sports like baseball, basketball, tennis, horseback riding, or even chess. This will help you create a more sustainable and easier fixable swing and golf game. Welcome to Section 1, the grip, the most important part of your swing. It is your connection to the club. There are 3 different grips in golf. 1 is the 10-finger grip, 2 is the overlap grip, and 3 is the interlock grip. The interlock grip is the most common grip in golf. This reason being is because it will make sure that your hands do not separate in the grip. With the other 2, it's a little easier to separate, and that's okay. I encourage you to try all 3 different grips when you finish this section and figure out which one you prefer. The first grip we're going to talk about is the interlock grip, the most common. And that is where you take the pinky finger and your index finger and interlock them. If you're right-handed, you're going to take your right hand pinky and interlock it with your left hand index, and vice versa if you are left-handed. Second is the overlap grip. So instead of interlocking, you're going to overlap your pinky over your index finger. Third is the 10-finger grip. With no overlap or interlock, your hands and your pinky and your index finger are just going to touch. The second part of this grip is there's 2 different ways to really put grip pressure into the club. 1 is through the fingers and 2 is through the palm. You want to decide to do one or the other, and you don't want to lay the club into your fingers across to your palm, or this will create blisters and rub in your hand. If you choose one channel or the other, this will make sure that the club stays in place. You can apply firm pressure and still relax your wrists through the swing, which is a very important part we'll talk about later on. Next, we're going to talk about stance. Stance is very important in your golf swing because that will create very good balance. And through balance, you have to create your timing, your power, and your accuracy. So for a good stance, you need to take a basic athletic stance. And a good way to find a basic athletic stance, if you don't know, is to think of supporting a squat bar on your back, shooting a free throw, or standing in a batter's box. Okay? Now, one very important part of stance is making sure that you line up off of your club. So your club is the only thing that stays consistent in your swing. Okay? So you want to put your club down first, then line yourself up off of your club. You want to feel a little bit of weight leaning out over the ball, so a little bit more weight on your front balls of your foot, but you want to make sure that your heels are down on the ground. And from here, you're going to bend your knees, feel it in your quads and your legs. From here, I have a good solid foundation, and that allows me to rotate and stay in position through my swing. So once you get that down, it's also very important to remember that your stance is going to change depending on your shot. You're going to have a different stance possibly for your putting. You're definitely going to have a different stance for your chipping and your pitching, driver versus irons. So keep that in mind, but finding a basic and sustainable stance to start with, then you can change from there. Welcome to our putting section. Putting is one of the most important and vital parts of your game because it's roughly 50% of your score, and in being such, it should be about 50% of your practice. So today, we're going to go over grip, stance, and a few drills, including a gate drill, a circle drill, and a line drill. Let's start first with the stance. So your putting stance should be as natural and comfortable as you want it to be. Some people like to take a very wide stance, some people like to take a very narrow stance. You just have to figure out what you like to do, but the most important part is you need to feel like you are perfectly in balance. There's only one part of your body that should move when you're putting, and that is your shoulders. All of your power and everything should come from your shoulders. So when you take your stance and your grip, you should feel comfortable and balanced, and make it so you can make a nice, easy, smooth, controlled stroke through the ball. One of the biggest things for putting is you need to remember that acceleration is the most important part of every swing. So you need to accelerate through that ball. Even on a short 3-foot putt, you still need to accelerate through that ball. So a good way to do that when you take your stance is to go shorter back and longer through. Now, to make sure you have a good stance or a basis for a good stance, I want you to picture once again that athletic stance, as if you had a squat bar on your back or if you were shooting a free throw. Chest up a little bit, spine straight, knees bent, even balance, and a solid foundation. Okay? Grip-wise, you can grip the club however you want. There really is no wrong way to grip the club. You can grip normal, interlock, overlap, baseball, cradle, left hand low, claw grip, reverse claw grip. There's a plethora of different ways that you can grip the club. There's no wrong way to grip a putter as long as your face is coming through square and to your target. Grip whatever feels comfortable and find the best one that fits you. So one of the best drills to work on how to control the length of your swing with a shorter backswing and a longer follow through is what's called a line drill. So this line drill, you need 10 golf balls and you're gonna line them up in a straight line back from the hole. This drill works best on the flattest green you can find on the practice green because it's more important to work on your distance control than your aim. And when you line these balls up, you want to put them roughly 2 putter lengths apart. But as you go through, you're going to notice you can make the same backswing and still make the putt. As you go through the drill, it's important to remember it's not about making it, but it's about controlling the distance that you need to swing with the same backswing. One key point is if you do happen to miss the putt, you always want to be closer than when you started. One of the biggest mistakes people make is taking too big of a backswing. So you don't have to take the club back very far to hit the ball all the way across the green. And one of the biggest things that I teach in their putting lessons is shorter back and longer through. So the next drill is called a circle drill, and this is my favorite putting drill to practice. So once again, the goal from these drills is to make sure that you can hit a dead straight 3-foot putt. So if you can hit a dead straight 3-foot putt, you can make any putt on the golf course. So for this drill, you're also going to need 10 golf balls. You're going to put them in a circle roughly about a putter length or 3 feet away from the hole. You're going to put them in a full circle and you're going to go around counterclockwise if you're right-handed or clockwise if you're left-handed. Now once again, you want to do this drill on the flattest part of the practice green that you can find because we're working on aim more than distance for this one. Okay, now that being said, There's two parts to this drill. Number one, when most people practice a drill like this, they just wind up taking a pile of golf balls, hitting a putt, grabbing another one, hitting a putt, grabbing another one. They never move. They never actually work on their alignment. So with this drill, you constantly have to go around the circle and reline yourself up to make sure you're hitting a straight putt. Now the second part of this drill is if you happen to miss one, you want to make sure that you're missing closer than when you started. So if you miss, but it's still within the circle, that's a good putt. Okay? The goal of this drill is to make 100 in a row. So you're going to do 10 rounds of 10. If you can make all 100 in a row, then you're going to move back to 5 feet. And then from 5 feet, if you make 100 in a row, you're going to move to putting a tee in the ground on a flat part of the green, and you're going to move 3 feet around that tee. You're going to hit that tee 100 times in a row, then you're going to move back to 5 feet. If you can get through all 4 of those stages, you'll never second guess a 3-foot putt again. Okay, so let's try the drill. I'm going to make sure that I line up, get set, and then all I'm going to do is try to take a nice, easy, natural swing to get it in the hole. And once again, I have to move to line myself up, check my line, and hit my putt. So this ensures that I'm going to take my time and make sure I'm actually lined up. There's no need to rush this drill. One way to make sure that you fail this drill is to go too fast. Oh. Oh. It's 2. I missed 2 putts, so that means I have to start my round over again. The next drill we're going to talk about is called the gate drill. So this drill is a really good way to make sure that you are swinging down a correct path and finding your natural putting stroke. So for this drill, you're going to place your putter down and you're going to put a tee on the toe side and a tee on the heel side. You can start out a little bit wider if you would like, and then you can slowly make it narrower. The goal is to get it to where it's just barely past the toe and heel, and then you're gonna swing through that gate. Now the reason being for this, if you have a tendency to pull your putts, when you go through and you try to swing, you're gonna hit that bottom tee. If you have a tendency to push your putts, you're gonna swing through and you're gonna hit that top tee. So this will help retrain you and your muscles to make sure that you swing through those tees unhindered and that face is coming through square to your target. Now you can do this drill, you can set it up to where it will be hitting into a hole if you'd like to, or you can just put this drill up on any part of the green and practice. This drill is just more important for finding your stroke than controlling distance or accuracy. All right, welcome to chipping. So today we're gonna focus on your chipping stance, different types of chips, and a couple of drills to help you understand chipping. Chipping is a very important part of the game because you're mainly gonna chip when you miss the green on your approach shot. Most chips are gonna come from the fringe, which is the area between the green and the rough. It's a little bit mowed down, it looks a lot like the fairway. From 30 yards and in, we wanna make sure that we can try and leave our chip within the leather of the club or the grip of your club. That'll ensure that you're gonna have about a 3-foot putt, which is what we worked on in the putting. Once you're in that area, after you finish those drills, you're never gonna second guess that putt again. It'll make it a lot easier. So the goal is not to get it as close as possible to the hole, but close enough to where you know you can make the putt. And the chip is what's gonna save you and make sure that you can save your score for par. Most of the time you're gonna chip with a club anywhere between a 52 to a 60-degree wedge. That wedge, the face of it is gonna help you get your loft that you need from that swing. You don't have to make it go in the air. So one of the most common mistakes that people make is they take too big of a swing and they decelerate through it. So we're gonna work on accelerating, which of course is the most important part of any golf swing. Not only that, but if you remember, when we talked about anything in golf, it's always the opposite of what you think. So if you want the ball to go higher, you need to swing down more on it and use the bounce of that club. So now every wedge has a degree and a bounce factor into it. The bounce factor is going to be how that club bounces off the ground at impact and what degree it is. Along with the bounce, there's usually also a grind. You want to look up the grind in your wedges. The grinds will help with whatever club you have for the turf you're playing on. Different grinds work for different parts of the country or the world better. So like for us up here, an S grind, a Z grind, or a C grind in the Pacific Northwest are the best grinds to use. The grind correlates to the grind in between the grooves of the club. You can see a little micro grooving is what they call it. That helps grip the club, or it has to correlate with the blade of the club to help cut through the turf, whether that's dry, wet, or a mix of both. So what we're going to talk about today is how to hit different chips, your stance, where you should be, and how you should hit your chip. When you chip, all of your power should come from your shoulders. The stance that we're going to go into is going to help you realize and isolate to where you cannot use your lower body through the swing. So less moving parts, less things to go wrong. One of the drills, or the main drill we're going to work on today, is called a leapfrog drill. So if any of you remember playing leapfrog as a kid, it's one after the other right over the top. Okay, so there's two ways you can play that drill. You can start short and go long, or you can start long and go short. And the goal of that drill is to leave the next ball in line about a club length apart from each other. I can teach you the technique and the stance of how to do it till I'm blue in the face, but only you can go out and put in the time to realize how much power you need to put into it. Short game and chipping is a lot of touch and feel. So you have to go out and you have to put in that practice to get it down. All right, now let's talk about the stance in your chipping. To reiterate, we want to make sure that we are isolating so we're not using any of our lower body, and all of your power and everything comes from the shoulders. So how we achieve that comes through our stance. So for your stance in a chip, you want to make sure that you put your feet close together and put the club down first. Your feet don't have to be touching, but they should be together. Then, once you have that club where you set or where you would like it to be, put your feet close together, bend your knees like you're getting ready to sit in a chair, weight forward 80%, hands forward, and then from right here, you're gonna hit essentially a big putt. So you wanna make sure that you go low back and low through, and don't try to pick that club up or use any wrist hinge, because you're gonna add speed and it's gonna be very hard to control. And once again, the club is gonna make the ball go in the air, so you don't need to lift it, you need to swing down and through it. So hold that club low through to get better accuracy and control. One of the more important things you need to remember for short game is ball position. Positioning your ball can change the trajectory and the roll of your shots. So most people play their chip shots in the middle of their stance, which is going to give you a medium trajectory and a medium roll. Now that might not always work. Sometimes you might have to go over a bunker, hit it a little higher and farther, but with less roll. So what you're going to do for that, you're going to put it forward in your stance. Your stance is going to stay the same, but you're going to change your ball position to forward. Same swing, down and through the ball, it's going to create a higher trajectory and less rollout. And sometimes you need the opposite. You need it to travel a little bit but roll a lot farther. You're going to put it in the back of your stance and you're going to swing down and through exactly the same. The ball's going to come out a little bit lower and have a lot more roll. This can come in handy if you have a chip shot that is uphill and you need a little bit more distance, or if you have a very long chip on a very long green. I encourage you to mess around with that, try shots from each spot and see which one you prefer, but also be able to have these shots in the bag for when you need them. Now we're going to talk about the leapfrog drill. So for the leapfrog drill, for you, those of you that ever played it when you were younger, it's a lot like the game you played in grade school. You're going to do one after the other for each of your shots. There's two ways you can play this. You can start long and come short, or you can start short and go long. There's also two different ways you can play it. Number one, you can try and get the ball to stop within a club length of the previous ball. Or number two, you can try to hit the shot so it lands just past where that ball stopped. This drill will help ensure that you can practice your power so you know how to hit the ball and how hard you'll need to hit it out on the course. When you do this drill enough and you go out and play on the course, this will give you that confidence that you're not going to miss-hit it or overswing your shot. Once you feel like you've gone far enough, you can also start hitting them shorter and see if you can bring them back to you. Another drill or a bonus drill you can do is called the up and down with the wedge drill. So for this drill, you're gonna chip it up to the hole, any hole you can pick on the practice green. And the goal is to leave it within about a club length or a grip length within the grip of your club to the hole. And then you're gonna walk up and you're gonna putt them in with the wedge. So when you putt with a wedge, you wanna use the leading edge or the blade of the wedge to hit the golf ball. Not only that, but you need to hit the golf ball in the middle of the ball, not underneath or not the top. So when you go to take your stance, line up, put the club down as if it was a putter, grip a little lower than normal, and then bring that club up so it hovers right towards the middle of the golf ball. Once you're there and you like your aim, just take a nice smooth putting stroke. If you can hit that putt or make those putts with the wedge, you know you're squaring your face up, which will be transition to your putter. And any putting practice is good practice. It doesn't matter if you don't leave them within the grip, still try to hit the putts and get that practice in. Welcome to the section on full swing. In this section, we're going to talk about the tire swing and how that relates to your full swing with irons, as well as ball first contact and how that will help you get more powerful and accurate shots. Today, we're going to be using a Unicore simulator as well as a GS Pro software. This is going to help you to understand why you're mishitting through spin rates, ball striking, club path, and swing path. With this, you'll be able to figure out why you're making your misses and help you fix them. All right, let's talk about the tire swing in your golf swing and how it correlates to making your swing more accurate, easy, and fluid. So I want you to picture a tire swing swinging at its full arc on a tree. As it gets to the top, what does it do? It pauses. That's a lot of weight up at the top. And let's say there's a 50-pound kid, 80-pound tire. Most people think it's going to come down drastically fast, but it's actually going to come to a nice slow stop, gradually start, and accelerate down past the midpoint of your swing. This is what your golf swing should emulate. So when you get up and you go to swing, I want you to take a nice slow backswing, pause at the top, let your hands drop, and rotate your body to pull that club and that weight through with the rotation of your swing rather than your arms or your shoulders. So you're gonna come to the top, pause, and you're gonna drop the club. That club should hit down back by your right foot. If that comes forward, that's you using your arms. Okay, so we're gonna go to the top, we're gonna drop a few times. Once that starts to feel comfortable, The next time, as soon as you feel that drop start, you're gonna rotate your hip through. So instead of being here, it's gonna look like through. Now, one common mistake a lot of people make with this is they also drop their shoulder at the same time. But remember, like we were talking about, if you drop your shoulder, that's gonna change your attack angle. So with the iron, we wanna make sure that we're swinging down into the ground, but hitting the ball first, creating that compression in the swing. The compression is what creates that pinch effect that launches that ball optimal distance and launch angle. So you're gonna get to the top, make sure you don't drop your right shoulder or that's gonna hit the ground behind the ball. That is what causes a lot of people to hit the ball fat or hit the ground before the ball, is dropping that right shoulder and changing your angle of attack to up. So once again, we're gonna come to the top, pause, arms drop, shoulder stays up, hips rotate, and throw your hands through the ball. Welcome to the section on the driver. So in this section, we're gonna be using a Unicore simulator and the GS Pro software. So on the simulator is a great way to practice your driver to figure out if you're not hitting it as far as you want, or if you're losing accuracy, why. The beautiful thing about the simulators is they're gonna give us the numbers we need to understand why our swing is not getting the results we want. We're also gonna talk about your stance with the driver and how it's unique and different compared to all the other stances. I'm also going to give you a drill on how to find your optimal tee height so that you can find that natural, easy swing and get better, longer, and more accurate drives. So for the driver, stance-wise, it's the only club that we want to swing up at the ball. So with your driver, you're going to want to put your weight back in your stance. If you remember from the previous sections, irons, we're going to lean towards the target to make sure we swing down and into the ball. Woods, we're going to keep our weight 50-50, so we swing flat through the ball. Driver is the only club that we're going to put our weight away from the target and drop our right shoulder to make sure that we have that upward attack angle. All right, let's talk about how to get into the proper stance for your driver. So your driver, like we had talked about earlier, is the longest, biggest club in your bag, but is the lightest club in your bag because this head is hollow. But a mistake a lot of people make is they try to force that through, and in doing so, they get out of sync when they swing. So we're gonna teach you how to get into the proper stance and balance to make that effortless swing. And how we're gonna start with that is, once again, line up off of the club. Put the club down first of where it should be, and then you're gonna go from there. So with driver, you wanna put the ball a little bit farther forward in your stance off the inside of your left foot or big toe. It's that way you almost want to feel like you're going to reach for that golf ball. So put that club down just a little bit off your left hip. Is a great place to put it. Then we're going to step into it. We're going to bend our knees and we're going to get into a power stance. So you're going to feel it a little bit more in your legs and a little bit of lean forward. We're going to keep that shaft straight up and down, actually almost a little bit back. That handle should line up just about with your left hip. And once you're here and that club's down, then you can step yourself into it. So I want you to line up normal with your weight 50-50. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a deep breath, relax, and as you breathe out, you're gonna let your right shoulder go limp and drop. So here, and that's gonna tilt us back and give us that upward angle that we already have to swing through the ball. So instead of you feeling like you have to lift the ball, you can just swing naturally through and get that lift. All right, let's talk about the biggest mistake I see students make, and that is swinging at the ball or lunging at the ball. Like we talked about the driver, the goal here is to swing up. It's the only club that you're trying to hit the ball as high as you can. But you watch a lot of people, they get their swing here and their first move is forward. As soon as you start to move forward, that angle of swinging up and through the ball changes to down. And people wonder why they can't get the ball in the air or they're losing so much distance. It's because you're hitting a low little stinger shot that's not meant to be that way. The small amount of degrees on a driver face need that help of you lifting and swinging up and through the ball to get your optimal numbers. So the next time you're out on the driving range, what I want you to do is I want you to load that right leg a lot and almost step and keep your weight back, swing through the ball and get used to that finishing position of your weight back, then move forward. All right, let's talk about the benefits of being on the simulator. So there's only 3 main things that we're going to talk about numbers-wise today. There's a plethora of other things. If you have any questions or want to know about the other numbers and what they should be, please feel free to message me, email me, whatever you need. But the 3 main things we're going to talk about today is smash factor, backspin, and launch angle. So with smash factor, the goal is to get around 1.5 or 1.51 when you look for your smash factor. And the smash factor is ball speed divided by club head speed. So that is your optimal. You want that to be 1.5 or higher, preferably. 1.51 is about as good as you're gonna get it usually. Smash factor will also take into account how the centeredness of contact you had on the club. So even if you had a really, really good swing, but you hit it on the outside of the face, that is going to affect your ball speed, and that is the reason, or that is how you're going to know that you didn't hit a perfectly centered shot. Second thing we're going to talk about is the backspin. Backspin is very important for your drives, especially because 1, we're launching upwards with that launch angle, and 2, we want it to ride the wind and stay in the air as long as possible. So with backspin, your optimal number you're trying to hit is 2,500 RPM. If you can get 2,500 RPM, that is going to ride that wind and that air perfectly and give you a very good descent angle to give you the optimal distance in your swing. The last thing we're going to talk about is launch angle, and the whole reason why we are leaning back and dropping our right shoulder. So for your launch angle, ideally, you want to be between 12 and 15 degrees. Thank you for doing this journey with us to the Smart Golf Academy. Through this, we went through grip, stance, full swing with your irons and drivers. We gave you various drills and activities that you can practice and improve on your own. Now it's up to you to decide what your next steps are going to be, whether that be in-person lessons or online lessons. Through the DC Golf Academy, we offer Coach Now golf lessons, online lessons through the Coach Now app. You can reach out to us if you'd like to sign up for this through one of the following channels. We look forward to seeing how your golf journey plays out.